And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we want to welcome you all to the amazing Hello Pivot with the Hello LLC. And if you don't know, Hello stands for Helping Entrepreneurs Leverage Leading Web3 Optimizations. And today, if you don't know, we have an amazing guest. Today's amazing room is breaking free from trauma, reclaiming your power and purpose. And OMG, we have ran into a person that is not just going to be able to share the story, but just the synchronicities and especially the conversation that we have with Mr. Jason Wilson coming up here pretty soon. But before we get started into our special guest, this week we had an amazing week as we talked about Hack the Future, AI, Metaverse, FinTech, the next frontier in shopping in the Hello Plaza. We did an amazing tour of all of our amazing businesses that are already in our Hello Plaza, utilizing the metaverse, not just to showcase their products, their services, their books, their webinars, their podcasts, but also a way to engage and build a community and really be able to have something different. Set yourself apart. We always want something different, but when it comes down to doing something different, are you actually doing that? And more importantly, being able to get over your traumas, your dramas, your patterns that you have with technology that we all have. And I'll talk about that more here in a little bit. But more importantly, guys, we want you all to come and join us in the Hello Plaza, in Metaverse. You can be a part of our amazing Hello Pivot conversation today. As always, with all of our conversations, you don't got to show up and not have your face on or anything of that sort. This is the future, especially when we talk about podcasts, especially when we talk about all these other things that you can be implementing into your business, into your brand. That's what we do. And we want you guys to come and experience it. So with that being said, love, what do you have to share, about our Wisdom Wednesday room or anything else you got?
We had a great week this week. We were talking about success isn't accidental, the art of strategic planning, and understanding how we have pivoted from an old strategic grind hard, got to push through, got to, just put in the hard work every day, all day in order to get success. We talked about how that is changing, why that is changing, and how to embrace the change to make sure that you're living in balance, because that's really what this is about, is being in balance. And so it was a great conversation, Mr. Jones. And then we're here. We're here to the amazing Hello Pivot Thursdays. And so with that said, back to you, Mr. Jones.
Yeah. And so before we get started, if you guys do not know about our amazing Biz in a Box, our one app, one tap, a smart link, we want you guys to check out our amazing Hello Motion Works that can share more about our actual Biz in a Box. So here we go.
Sick of wasting time? Exhausted from managing chaos instead of running your business? Do you feel like your business is running you instead? Say goodbye to the chaos and say hello to a smart link that saves you time. Introducing the Biz in a Box.
With the Biz in a Box, you're not just implementing AI and upgrading your website. You are actually unlocking an all-in-one smart link that revolutionizes your foundation and systems while showcasing, marketing, and managing your business. Say goodbye to juggling endless tools, chaos, and outdated business cards. With our one app, one tap system, clients can access your products, services, and resources instantly via your link and QR code.
Just imagine everything your audience needs, beautifully and strategically presented in one seamless hub, designed to save you time, streamline your workflows, keep your audience engaged, and making your life easier. This is the future of business, built for forward-thinking entrepreneurs that are serious about growth and creating a solid foundation with systems that work today and pivot you into the future as Web3 approaches.
Stop living in the past. End the chaos and be the boss. Step into the future with the Biz in a Box. The future is already here.
And ladies and gentlemen, that right there is all about our Biz in a Box, our one app, one tap. You guys can come and join us right now in the metaverse by going to thehellowllc.io and experiencing something different. If you have that crusty, dusty website, you got something that's not working, you might just be utilizing a calendar. You might not have nothing. It is 2025. You have to engage with your clients, showcase yourself, showcase all that you do, because a lot of the times you can gain business without you. And so this is why we share with people, pivot into the future, because the future is already here. And so we encourage you guys to book a demo, learn more about our Biz in a Box, learn more about how you can join our amazing community. And at the end of the day, do something, whether it's with us or not with us. At the end of the day, we want you guys to understand we want more for you than from you. And it is for you to raise your vibrations and pick up the speed of how technology is changing. And so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Love, you got anything you want to say beforehand?
Nope. I'm ready to get this party rocking and rolling. Amazing. Talk to our amazing guests.
Perfect. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, you're about to know. We have our amazing Jason Wilson. He is a spiritual dream coach, CEO of the Circle of Friends Club. His mission is to empower people all over the world to use their God-given power and authority to overcome precision, or should I say depression, anxiety, PTSD, and suicidal ideation. And so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, the Circle of Friend Club is a global mental wellness community and really about doing, what we all share, doing something good. And it takes you to do that. And Jason is definitely a person that can be able to push you, move you forward, and really inspire you with this good word. And without further ado, Mr. Wilson, is there anything else that I missed that you want to let the people know? Take it away, sir.
I mean, that was such an amazing introduction, David. Thank you so much, Tara and David, for having me on. What you guys do is amazing, and I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, with that being said, one of the things that we want to share with the people, and I shared with this earlier, it's a small world. We asked you to send us over some questions, and lo and behold, one of your first questions was, what is Colombia? Why did you move to Colombia? Because I know why we went there, and especially with the topic being about trauma, I'm pretty sure there was a lot of trauma that you had to overcome. So share with the people your experience, about why did you pick Colombia?
Well, to be honest with you, man, I was living in Texas at the time in 2001. And at the end of that year, I decided that I wanted to leave the United States and go to a Latin speaking country. I wasn't sure exactly which one, but I left Texas and went back to Atlanta because my mom was suffering from bipolar depression and also diabetes. And I wanted to help her out with her workout program. And it just so happened that, I was in the fitness field for about 10 years before I left the States. And so I was in Atlanta for about 4 months, and I met my ex-wife, who was actually from Bogota, Colombia, in Atlanta. So we had a long distance relationship, and we decided to get married, and I came on down at the end of 2002 and just basically never looked back since then, man. I love this country. But in 2002, there was nothing positive that you could find about Colombia in the media or on the internet. I mean, it was all negative: bombings, kidnappings, drug deals. And I think pretty much you can still find the same thing in the media today. Only I think that the big difference is that now we have a lot more people from other countries that come here to visit and also to relocate once they see exactly how the country is. I mean, it's a beautiful country. It's a great place to relocate. I mean, I haven't had any problems here since I've been here.
That's amazing. I would have to say ditto to everything. When we moved to Colombia, we only went down for 6 months because we just went on the standard visa. We didn't apply for a longer visa or anything. And everybody asked us when we did make that transition, why Colombia? Why are you going to Colombia? Like, of all places, why Colombia? And you speak to the
Right.
absolute, you know, cloud covering that kind of covers Colombia of the bad and what people think of it and what they see from the media that is given to them. And when we got there, same thing that you share. We spent our time on the coastal side of Colombia, and the people were absolutely amazing. They were nice. At no time did David and I ever feel when we were walking the street, whether it was, late at night or during the day, did we feel that there was any issue? We never had a problem at all. And David and I were just talking about our stay in Sanaga, which was a couple of hours north of there. And we were the only tourists / Americans in that small town. Only. That's it. There was no other. And we talked about when you're the only people there, it's either good or bad. And we found that every person around us was absolutely helpful, kind, and nice to us, just as we were to them. And so we absolutely are on the same crusade that you're on, of sharing that it's different. Once you get to the place, we say the same thing for Mexico. And so we absolutely love that. We love that you did. You've been there a lot longer than we have, but while you've been there.
And one of the things that I would want to share that goes straight into the title of today's room, breaking free from the trauma. We too moved from Houston, Texas, and our friends were like, oh my God, you're packing up, you're moving. Are you coming back home? Are you doing this? And it was a trauma, a big trauma for a lot of people to even see or even imagine them doing that, yet we were. And I can tell you, with my family being back at home, leaving family, and even, when we did do the going away party, half the friends that, were upset and mad that when we told them we were leaving, they didn't show up to the going away party. And so what we realized is that, the friends, the family, that you think you have, start a business, leave the country, and you'll find out who's real and who's not at the end of the day. And really the trauma is within inside you, because a lot of people, well, are there drugs there? Are there this there? And we remind people, do you know we live in Houston, Texas, the number one sex trafficking place in the world, in the United States? Do you know the road rage and all the craziness? Yeah.
Houston is the number one sex trafficking capital in the United States right now.
And so, we would bring these statistics to people, and they just wouldn't know. And even moving to Mexico, when we told people we were moving to Mexico, it's the same mentality. It's the trauma that we all get from the States of, ooh, it's dangerous there. Ooh, it's dangerous here. And I remind people, you see a dog out in the States, with no leash on, you ready to clench your pearls and purse, and you ready to jump. You ready to run. I know when we were in Colombia, even here in Mexico, you see dogs out and about on the wilds, and they're not bothering you. There's a different energy, there's a different vibration, and it's not the aggression that we as Americans have, that people don't have here. And the people have been nicer than nice in Colombia and here in Mexico, that we've both been told, the wrong things.
Absolutely. So as we move on to this amazing next question, and something in this question that I would love for you to share too with us is, what is the Circle of Friends Club? And is that something that you started while you've been in Colombia?
Well, I got to give you the whole story. So once I got here, I knew that I was going to teach English because that was always my best subject in school. So it happened that I taught basically everybody in my ex-wife's family English. And in the process of doing that, God gave me the idea to pick up the yellow pages one day, look for companies that might be interested in my service. So I found two companies. They were international companies in media. So one was called Media Edge, and the other one was called Mindshare. And so I got two contracts with these companies and did that for about 6 months. And after that, I was at Nortel Network teaching classes, and I had about 15 students there. And one day, one of my students said, Jason, you need to do something to help people more in the area of relationships. So I said, you know what? That's a great idea, because all my students want to talk to me about their husband, wife, boyfriend, and girlfriend in class. So at the time, the movie Hitch was out with Will Smith. And so I said, you know what? There's a speed dating scene in this movie. Maybe that might be the perfect thing for single professionals here in Columbia. So in 2010, I started a speed dating company. And with my current wife, we had that company from 2010 to 2015. And during that time, more than 200 couples got married. And so from there, I sold the company in order to do something more international. There was no way that I could expand that company to the States or any place else with the name of it. So along that journey, God gave me the idea for Circle of Friends. I really didn't know exactly that it was going to be a mental health organization until the pandemic. And the way that happened was a friend of mine called me one day and said, hey, Jason, can you come here to Bogota and help me to manage my English Institute for a couple of weeks? I said, yeah, sure. So I went to Bogota and did that job for a couple of weeks. And at the end, I was getting ready to travel back to my town about 4.5 hours outside of Bogota. And I was going to take the bus. So I went to the bus terminal and everything was dark. It was 5:30 in the morning. And there were just lines of people waiting to get in. So I was talking to the people and they said, yeah, the city's been shut down and we don't know why. Well, come to find out, Bogota shut down the city due to COVID and no one could go home. So that meant that I couldn't go home either. I went back to my friend's apartment where I was staying and told him what was going on. And he said, Jason, don't worry about it. You know, it's not your fault. You can stay at my place as long as you do. And the next day, though, was my wife's birthday. So I couldn't go home. And believe me, she was pissed. Right. And so the thing was that after that phone call, I was talking to God and I said, what would you have me do while I'm here in Bogota? And and God told me, start a podcast. And so I said, okay. I've never been on an event online or anything like that, or done any public speaking in front of people. So let me organize an event. And so I sent out a bunch of DMs on LinkedIn. And do you know Sugar Ray Leonard?
Yeah.
Okay. So Sugar Ray Leonard's son answered my DM, Ray Leonard Jr. He said, Jason, I would love to speak at your event. So we organized that event online. The night of the event, 10 minutes before, there's a blackout in the neighborhood where I'm staying. And so I had to call all the guests that, yeah, man.
But
So
that's what Columbia will do. They will go out.
Yeah, guaranteed. So I had to contact all the guests that were, going to participate. And of course, Ray Leonard Jr., I had to call him and he said, Jason, don't worry about it. This kind of thing happens when you're trying to do something positive. I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. I hung up the phone and 15 minutes later, the power comes back on and we're able to do that event. And so after that event, I started my own podcast called Living on Purpose. And so again, I didn't have any guests for my show. So I sent out a bunch of DMs again. And the Isley brothers?
Yeah.
Okay, so Chris Jasper from the Isley brothers answered my DM. He said, Jason, I would love to be a guest on your show. And mind you, in 2020, there were no, podcast guidelines that I could find. And so I used my laptop computer, no microphone, no no lighting, no nothing, right? And so the image is all grainy and everything. I mean, it's funny to look at now. But I mean, it was an awesome interview, and he was really, really nice and told me some amazing things about the Isley brothers. So he was my first podcast guest, and I did several other celebrities after that. And I met James Hagler, who is the son of Marvelous Marvin Hagler. And it just so happened, man, during the pandemic, his dad died. He had gotten the shot for COVID, and 2 weeks later, he went to the hospital and died in the hospital. And so I wrote about that whole experience of, the power going out and everything on my first online event. And of course, Ray Leonard Jr. saw the post. He liked it, made a comment. And James Hagler, the son of Marvelous Marvin Hagler, saw the post, and he made a comment as well. And I said, James Hagler, could this be the son of Marvelous Marvin Hagler? And sure enough, it was, man. And we got to talking on the DM on LinkedIn, and come to find out that he had spent a long time in Atlanta as well. And he had a really, really hard time growing up with his dad, mental health issues and all kinds of stuff. So we actually co-hosted. He actually was my co-host on Living on Purpose for the next season, and we interviewed several boxers from that era and their sons as well. So on all of those episodes, the majority of those conversations were about mental health. And after that whole experience, I said, what I really want to do now is focus on mental health and helping people with depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. So that's how the mental health piece became a part of Circle of Friends Club, and really is the focus now.
That's beautiful. Well, I appreciate you sharing that entire message and that story, because that really just paints a picture of, all of the good things you're up to. And it also paints a picture for people to, back to, the room title of, the trauma portion of it, breaking free from that trauma. A lot of times people live in the world of, I have to stay in the States because I need to have a job for security so I can survive and live. And people don't realize that you can leave the States like you have and be able to start and do one thing, and then be able to be shown where you need to go and what you should be doing. And walking, as they say, with kind of, I wouldn't say blind faith, but walking in that faith of knowing that everything's going to be all right, and I'm going to get to do the things that I need to be doing, and I don't have to be in the States to do that. That is, I think that's one of the biggest things that we've had to overcome in that is how can you make a living outside the States? How are you going to survive? And that share was beautiful, and not only what you're up to, but also about just the underlying message of it'll be okay. You can do this too. Mr. Jones?
Yeah, and even further is where you started your podcast and you just did it. And that's something that we share with people all the time. Is press the button. You don't need no gadgets. You just need to show up, be consistent. And as you did, you got uncomfortable. You reached out to people, you got in people's DMs, asked them a question, and at the end of the day, all they can do is tell you no. But because you got out of your comfort zone and nobody was too high enough on your list, you actually got those response back and said, yeah, let me do this. And then you continuing to move through with the power outage, and then God just said, here you go, and it came back on within 15 minutes. And that is what inspires so many people, and you've done that, which is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, believe me, man, it's been a journey. I mean, it's taken a lot of faith to put yourself out there, like you said, man. I mean, it's not easy at all. And I completely understand people that they have the idea about, being a guest on somebody's show, or maybe having their own podcast show. But, it's always so scary to make that first step. So I can empathize with people on that point. And I got into podcasting, or actually podcast producing shows in 2021. So I've been doing that ever since. And I love to create and help people amplify their voices on their own shows as well.
I love it. I love it. So, share with us, what do you do as a spiritual dream coach? Because I'm pretty sure people hear that, and depending on where they are in their faith and all of that, it can lead them in a million directions. So share with us, what do you do as a spiritual dream coach?
Okay. So during the pandemic as well, I had a lot of time to think. And that period that I was stuck in Bogota was a month and a half, man. I could not go anywhere for a month and a half. I was stuck in this apartment. And really the only thing I could do was to pray, study the word of God. And God gave me the idea for a coaching program for spiritual warfare. And so the interesting thing is about dreams is that every single night, your spirit actually leaves your body and goes to the spiritual dimension or the spirit realm. And, not everybody remembers their dreams. So one of the first pieces of advice I tell people is that if you can't remember your dreams, ask God in prayer, and ask the Holy Spirit to help you remember what happens when you go to sleep and you're in that dimension. So guaranteed, when they do that, they can remember what happens. So when you're in that dimension, you can have dreams that are influenced by God, and you can also have dreams that are influenced by the enemy. So one of the first things that you want to take a look at is the context of the dream. When you wake up from the dream, are you happy? Are you content? Are you motivated, encouraged? Are you at peace? Those kinds of dreams come from God. If you are fearful, if you're frustrated, angry, depressed, anxious about something, when you wake up from a dream and you're sweating, you're out of breath like you've been running a mile or something like that, those dreams come from the enemy. So you want to be able to first know what the context of the dream is, and then you want to be able to take a look at all the symbols that you can remember from your dream. You want to take a look at the colors, any colors that you can remember, the time of day it is, the weather. If you're in some kind of vehicle, what kind of vehicle is it? Are you riding a bicycle? Are you in a bus? Are you in a plane, a car? All of that has a specific meaning. Who are the people in your dream? Are you by yourself or with a group of people? Are you with a celebrity? Are you with family members? All of these things will give you an accurate interpretation of what your dream is. But in order to get that interpretation, always go to the Holy Spirit in prayer and ask him to help you know what the interpretation of that dream is. So that's just, some basic information, but it gets a lot deeper than that.
Absolutely. First of all, you're right up my alley in the dream department. And David and I always
I
get
had
up.
a dream last night.
And that's that part. Yeah. We get up the next morning.
It, though.
We get up the next morning and we share with each other like, man, I had a crazy dream last night. And it's exactly what you're talking about is stopping and like, let's break it down. Like, what's this mean? Is it, was I in a fight or flight mode or was I in a peaceful, loving mode? And what's going on in that arena?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
back this past December, God gave me the idea to start a Bible study, and within that Bible study, help people dream interpretation. So as a matter of fact, last night we had our Bible study, and usually the Bible study goes from 8 o'clock at night until about 9:15. But last night we were talking about like categories of the dreams and also the callers, and we were there talking until about 10:30 at night. So, people were fascinated by the subject, and, it's just going to get better from here. But we have Bible study every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock to talk about this subject.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it is fascinating.
Yeah.
It's fascinating when we can understand what's really going on. Because a lot of us just chalk it up to, oh, it's not necessary. But when we start to see how it is actually connected to our awake times and what's going on in our real life, it's very fascinating. And I'm glad that people are sharing this wisdom with other people, because it really does provide an additional context for us to learn, because we are multidimensional beings. We are not just this one-sided, I work, I go to school, I go to, I come home and that's it. That's not what we are. We are multidimensional. And so, so, you have your Freedom Fight Expo coming up, and we're excited to find out more about that. Can you share with our audience what that is and what that you'll be doing at the expo?
Okay, well, the idea is that we have 10 speakers from all different kinds of walks of life. In these particular events, though, we have retired NFL players, we have mental health therapists, and other people who have had bouts with depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. And some of them have been really, really close to killing themselves as well. So they talk about their life story, about how they overcame those issues, and everything that they do right now in order to help people overcome their challenges too. So it's an online event. It's live streamed on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, as well as YouTube. I started this idea last February, and so it's a year now that we've been doing events. I did 4 events last year, and we're gonna have the 5th event next week. So I'm really, really excited about it. I love to do this, and the stories are so impactful. It's something to have the experience of maybe having depression or anxiety or suicidal ideation, but it's another to listen to other people's stories and be impacted and encouraged from everything that they've been through. I think in most cases, you look at your own situation and you say, you know what I went through is not nearly as bad as what they went through. So you have an enormous amount of gratitude for that person who's telling their story, and also for the kind of work that they do. So I'm just blessed and honored to be in a position where I can open a space like that.
That's awesome, man. That is so a great topic for people to talk about and be open and share, their stories. Tara and I have went through several seminars, several mindset journeys. And, when you do go to these events and people do go to the mic and share their story of what they've went through, the dramas, the traumas, the patterns that they went through in their life, I would take my stuff back in a heartbeat. And this is why we share with people, be grateful for what you have, because a lot of the times you don't know what other people are going through, and you don't know how they're dealing with it, and what you're complaining about, what you might be going through. Yes, it's valid. Yes, you have some validity to it. Yes, depression, anxiety can come from it. But when you hear what other people go through and have been through in their life, it really makes you, second guess. And I'll speak for myself. There's been multiple stories when we went to the seminar of where people were sharing, things that were happening to them in their childhood, in their relationship. And I'll be like, oh my God, I need to stop my whining and complaining right now, because I'm sitting over here crying about this, that, and the other, when people have went through some real serious trauma and they're kicking and screaming, with life still. And so, we really don't know until we know. And really sitting back and being grateful in life for what you have, and having conversations with people. And that's why we share with people, we're all in this together. all is one. How you act, how you treat other people impacts how other people treat other people. And if we would learn to raise our vibrations and to give grace and to be kind and to truly love people, right? Not just because love is just one of those words, but just loving another human being because you're a human being, we would get so much further. But because we have all of these things that have happened in our life, and we have society, and we have media, and we have social media, and all these different views and viewpoints, it just makes it a little bit harder for us to get through depression and anxiety. So, if you could share with us, one of your, amazing testimony stories of why people should, learn more and even come to this event that you have next week and even further of all your other events.
Well, I think that one of the biggest things about having a mental health issue is that the person feels like they're not being heard. So doing these events, man, it just made it so apparent that people need a space where they can openly talk about the things that they're going through. People go to work, they come home, and when they get home, they have nobody to talk to about these personal issues, and everybody around them may think that, oh, well, everything's fine with him or her, but inside, man, it's a completely different story. So I knew that from my mother's experience with her depression too. She never really said anything. And, I define a mental health issue as a spiritual battle that takes place in the mind. So, these thoughts of suicide, thoughts of being depressed and anxious, people think that these thoughts are their thoughts, but that they're really not. They're coming from demonic entities or a demonic influence. And these demons, man, they want to destroy you. They want to kill you. And not only do they want to kill you in waking life in this physical plane, but also in the spiritual dimension too. So, it's a really, really insidious thing that people are facing these days, and not just adults, but kids too, man. I mean, kids from, let's say, 10 years old to 15 years old are killing themselves now. And I don't know if you know, but the total number of suicides last year was 49,000 people. I don't know what that's going to look like this year, but I can already tell that, it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And on top of that, man, we've got these fires out in Los Angeles killing people. We've got all this uncertainty with the current administration. I don't want to go into detail about that, but there's a tremendous amount of anxiety around that issue. So it's just really, really important now that we prioritize God in our lives, because we just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, the next month, or next year.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, you hit the nail on the head. People don't realize the magnitude of these mental health journeys that people go on. Some of them are not so good because of what you shared. They don't have anybody to talk to. They don't have, I just saw a TikTok literally like the other day, and it broke my heart. Don't know this person from Adam or Eve, but I saw that, she posted a TikTok of her brother. She says, how is it that 2 hours before this you were alive, and 2 hours later after this dance, you shot and killed yourself? And that stark reality right there, that if people will actually kind of listen to other people's stories, we gain some empathy and understanding, and then we start going, well, let me ask that person how they're doing today. Let me be not in my world so much, and let me, reach out. Or from an awareness point of view, like watching that and thinking, oh, what can we do to help others? But then on the other side of that, for the people that need someone, I say I'm excited for the times to come, meaning the shift of the energy of the world and the vibration that we're in, for a more empathetic, loving community, which is we're starting to see. I love all things astronomy, astrology, topped off with also understanding a magnitude of different things within the Christian religion. And what I find is that people are starting to come more to having an open heart, and kind of started to lead with love and empathy. And yeah, like you said, we don't talk politics at all. Just because, that's not a rabbit hole we don't go down. But
Right.
outside of that time, outside of that framework right there, I think as people are starting to realize, people are holding other people accountable when they do bad to other people. I think we've seen that as some of the discretionary things that have been done over the past, month-ish with the new administration, and kind of singling out different individuals because based on who they are and their background, or the color of their skin. And we're seeing people say no, as a whole, say no, we're going to be a part of the community. We're going to embrace those people. And I think as more we feel that embracing is happening, like what you're doing and the impact you're making, and because the fact that you're actually saying it's okay to talk about, and then we have channels like ourselves where we're sharing with other people, it's okay to talk about these things. It's okay to feel these things. It's okay. It is okay. And people start to go, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not going through this by myself. And that's a big thing is when people don't feel like they're going through by themselves, they feel that they have someone like yourself, or your community to come talk to. And so that's pretty stinking awesome in my book,
And if I can add on that, when you said earlier, Jason, we don't have anybody to talk to. And let's just be real and upfront and honest about it, because that's what we do. When we are vulnerable with our friends, when we are vulnerable with our significant other, when we are vulnerable with somebody 9 times out of 10, that will then come back and bite us in the butt. That will use that against us. And that is why so often we close down with our friends. We close down with our significant other, especially to be open and upfront and honest, because it comes back up when that other person's mad, and then you just shut down and you don't have nobody to talk to unless you come to a person like yourself. And I think especially for the Black community, men in general, right, that we don't need to go talk to somebody else, because we don't want people to understand, we have feelings, we have emotions, we cry as well, although we've been raised not to do any of those things or express our emotions or express, our spirituality because of that mindset. And it really gets boggled down inside of us. So more than anything, I would encourage us all to be more open, to allow people to share, and not to use that vulnerability against your significant other, because they're going to shut it down. It's over, it's done with, and they're not going to bring it back up because you've hit a soft spot. And so that is where we as individuals can be better at hearing other people. And if we can't do it, let's help the other people and praise them and encourage them to go talk to somebody else, other than you don't need to go talk to nobody. You don't need to go talk to no shrink. You don't need no coach. You don't need that. Yes, you do. As a football player, as a coach, as a preacher, as any of those things, you go ask them. They all have coaches. But yet us as individuals, if we have a problem, we don't think we need a coach, like having a personal trainer or having a professional cook, or, joining a membership because you don't know the knowledge. Then there's somebody that does know the knowledge. Spend that money, because that can help you get past the barrier that you need. And so that would be one thing that I would share with us all as we talk about this, because trauma does come from rejection of us not being vulnerable to one another and that other person bringing it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Did
That
you
is
want to add
so-
anything
that
on
is so
that?
true.
No, go ahead. Sorry, Jason. Mhm.
I was just agreeing with you. That is so true.
Yeah, it's just and it takes us like we're doing now having this conversation. And
Yeah.
because I will tell you, conversations like this is what changed my life. Being able to get onto free content on YouTube, on TikTok, on social media, essentially, and digesting some information from people that are, doing pretty positive things in their life and understanding the messages. And so a lot of times someone in your shoes or in our shoes, we take light in how impactful this conversation here can be just for someone in the past, and so we just offer a lot of people out there, love and empathy and understanding, because we're all going through a journey. And so we've kind of, we kind of veered off a little bit from the Freedom Fight Expo. I mean, that was all within the same realm of, chit-chatting about that. But before we lose, how do people sign up for this? How do they take advantage of being a part of this? Is this something that they have to be there in person? Is this a virtual concept? What is that?
Yes, we're going to put out all the advertisement about that starting on Monday. But it's a virtual event. Anybody can attend. It's actually a free event, but we're encouraging people to make donations. So we're not charging a ticket price. Anybody can make a donation of any amount and be able to participate in the event.
Beautiful. I like that, and I like the fact of, opening that up and then saying, if you want to go ahead, because there's going to be people that show up and be like, wow, this just the information or the knowledge or the love that I got from this is super impactful. And that's how people know how to say thank you, so that's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And last but not least, share a little bit more about what your future plans are within Columbia and within the Circle of Friends Club.
Well, we have some exciting things coming up this year. I haven't been in the dating industry since 2015 when I sold the speed dating company. And again, I was in conversation with the Lord, and he gave me the idea to get back into the dating industry. But this time, it's going to be a speed dating event online. So the idea is that you can meet between 12 to 15 people online within an hour and a half. And after that, we're going to pair you up with the two, one or two people that you had a match with. And we're going to pair you with a relationship coach who can help to develop your relationship after that event. So it's going to be a wonderful opportunity for people that have had some challenges meeting people outside of work or their social circles. We're going to have in-person events as well. So along those lines, we're planning a Columbia tour the third week of June. It's going to be a transformation week. In addition to that, it's going to be an opportunity for people that want to practice their Spanish or practice their English. They can do that, as well as some activities for singles as well.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And, not only that, I would take it one step further is that, we could have that speed dating in metaverse. Could you imagine everybody joining in metaverse? They could have their own pictures up. If people do want to show up with their camera, you can literally show your face on here as well, right? You can be able to chat and all of that. And it makes it a little bit more immersive for people to come into. And then even more, having this be like a hangout spot where, instead of, scrolling on Tinder, scrolling on, all those other apps, people could come in here and talk to one another and associate in real life. So, we continue to share with people, there's so many avenues that this metaverse, this Web3 takes us to, where you're not meeting on a Zoom, you're not, trying to meet on the old school 2D, not get catfished, of course. with
Right.
people's, pictures, especially these days. And it just creates a different experience. And so, especially, that'd be something we definitely like to collaborate with you on, maybe just do an event and just have everybody come, or just an opening event and just say, hey, here goes all the people that are coming. And I definitely encourage you all to take advantage to go and visit Colombia, because moving to Colombia and just seeing Colombia, not staying on the resorts, right, which most of us do. We go travel when we stay on the resort, but literally getting out and talking to people and seeing people, and you will see that life is so much more than we as Americans make it out to be. And you'll see how other people live off 1/4 of what you make. And they're so much more happier. They're so much more loving. There's so much more energy there. And you have to see it to believe it, just like the metaverse. When you came in here, oh my goodness, this is completely different than a Zoom or any other, podcast that you've been able to do that expands your horizons.
Brother, we got to get together and we need to plan something. Definitely.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Well, without further ado, brother, anything else you want to share? Share your website, share anything you want to. Mi casa, su casa, our house is your house. That's what this is all about. Collaboration is the new currency. So if you have anything else, share away. This is your time.
Thank you so much, man. So my website is circleoffriendsclub.com. You can reach me there. You can also reach me by DM on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like my second home. So, I'm always there. You can send me a DM there and I'll respond. I'm an open book, man. I'm on LinkedIn every single day. I'm always posting something, starting in the morning with a scripture from God that is meant to encourage, motivate, and just give people hope. I think this is such a hard time for people in so many different areas. I just want to be able to encourage and motivate people, man. So that's what I'm about. And thank you so much again, Tara and David, for having me here, man. It's been awesome.
Love it.
Absolutely. And we just wanted to tell your family, thank you for sharing you for a bit, because we always understand the balance of, life and also getting that message out there. And, a lot of times I don't think people give enough credit for the back end, the support, the people that are in our life every day. And so lots of kudos to them. And then just a high five, attaboy, way to go, way for making that high five, like attaboy, it's a sports term, sorry. But it's the impact. David looked at me like, what is attaboy? Anywho, point being is just thank you for the impact. Thank you for the impact that you're making in this world, and what you're doing and helping others. And thank you for getting outside of your comfort zone and going and checking out another country and showing people that then they too can do something and follow their dream, and it doesn't have to be stuck in the States. And I say that because a lot of times people are like, I want to go travel the world, but I feel like I can't do that. And 2020 really blew the lid off with remote working coming into play. But still, you are a pioneer in this field of being able to just kind of get out there and say, I'm going to go do this. Shown what I need to do along my way. So again, thank you so much for being here. And any final words you want to as we part ways?
I just want to tell people that, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how much you seem to be suffering and that there's no hope, there is hope. There is a way out, and you're not alone. There's always somebody, that God has for you to listen to you, to empathize, and you always have the opportunity to make a change. You're not stuck. There is a way out, and God loves you. and I love you.
Yeah. That's a big part right there. The I love you too. You know, a lot of people just don't put that out there anymore because people tend to kind of, as David shared earlier, that we're not vulnerable with other people because we're worried about being hurt in return. And so people are like, nope, I'm not going to love or care or want to see your best until you want that for me. And that's one thing that we're coming out of, and that's a beautiful thing. So with that said, we know the drill, Mr. Jones. Love,
Kindness,
and integrity,
but most importantly,
commitment,
and
consistency.
until next time.
Toodles, hasta luego, mi amigos.